Hi everyone, so I know that it's been just under a year since the last video that I made here on YouTube, and I mean that was partly because I just had lots of other priorities in my personal life and also in my job as a teacher, but I kept meaning to sit down and make more videos and really grow our community, but I just didn't have the time. And I mean, if you're watching this from the future and you're wondering when this is taking place, today is actually the last day of term. A time in school life, academic life, that has just been in lockdown during COVID-19, and it being the last day of term today is so surreal because it doesn't necessarily feel like the closure that we normally feel when we're at school and we get to say goodbye to people in person and really sort of experience that break between school time and the summer. So obviously it's been a bit of a distressing time for so many people, and obviously if that's affected you on a personal level, whether you've experienced symptoms of the virus or if your family, relatives, loved ones, people in your community have been affected by it, I just wanted to send you all of my best wishes and all of my love in a really safe recovery, and in any grieving or any particular experiences that you're going through. So I do hope that everything gets much better than it is currently, but obviously this video is not to talk about that in full. I did just want to mention that just for anyone out there who is going through a really hard time. So this video is actually going to be me reflecting about my experiences over 2019 in terms of my organisation, my planning, everything to do with my teaching life, and making really important decisions about what my vision and what my priorities will be for 2020. So I'm going to be talking you guys through all of my thoughts and my reflections and what actions I'm going to put in place using Notion. So I'll take you over there in just a moment, and I'm hoping that you'll find it really useful, whether you are training to be a teacher and you want to get a little bit more information about what teaching actually is and what does it look like, or whether you're going to be starting your teaching journey in September and you're really excited but you're not really sure what to prioritise to get started with, but also for those out there who have been in teaching for a long time and you just want to brainstorm with me and have a colleague, have a friend to sit down and chat to and have this thought process with. So I really do hope that you find it useful and that you take something from it, and if you do have any advice or questions or anything that you want to share that you think would really benefit our community, then leave comments down below or just pop over to Instagram and share some of that over there as well. So let's get started. I'll take you over to Notion now. Okay, so we are in Notion, which is a really great app that I have on my phone and also on my laptop, and I love using it as an organisational tool. It just helps structure all of my thoughts, everything that I need to get done, and it's also a great platform for me to have sort of these thought processes and brainstorm lots of ideas while I'm thinking of them, but also I want to make them quite actionable. So it's great because I can do it myself, which is what I've been doing, but also I can use templates that other people have put together, and also share particular pages if I want to do some collaboration with other people. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to talk you through my thought process in terms of the reflection of 2019, and also thinking ahead for the academic year that's to follow in September, so 2020 and 21. And hopefully from this reflection, and I've put some prompt questions here if you wanted to also do this exercise with me, but hopefully after I've done this thought process I can then really start to organise any particular actions that will come from that in terms of organisation, planning, and then two of my particular roles in leadership, but also the fact that I'm doing the Masters in Education. So to start off with, I am going to answer these questions here. Feel free to do this exercise with me, or to just watch my time lapse. Okay, so now that I've brainstormed and reflected what worked well for me in the academic year and what has rooms for improvement, I'm now going to go on to thinking ahead of 2020 and see what I come up with. Okay, so I've had a bit of a think as to what worked well this academic year and what has room for improvement. I think from this particular reflection, it is really clear here that in terms of organising, I'm going to really need to think ahead of how I'm going to plan for homework and pre-learning tasks alongside my midterm plans. So that is something that I'm going to include here in perhaps organisation. So okay, the second thing that sort of really sort of made me realise that there's a lot overlapped here. Priorities for the school is metacognition. My priorities as an educational professional is to make a feature of metacognition in my practice. So it's really something that I do want to develop. So that being said, it's just more about how I'm going to do that. So what I really want to do is get students to reflect on their learning and the progress that they're making, but also support them with better revision strategies that will engage their brain in a more effective way. And as head of biology, my focus will be with A-level students. So I think here it's okay, so there's definitely retrieval focus. It's something that I really enjoy doing. There's definitely something I want to continue to work on. So I want to try to make sure that I can stretch those retrieval practices to boost memory, because that's also a feature in my school, and it's something that's going to be really important in addressing the potential obstacle of the forgetting curve. So this is going to be something more along the planning lines as when am I going to plan for retrieval? An obstacle that I'm going to face, particularly at the start of the year, is the behaviour for learning. I'm going to need to occupy my students while they're waiting in the classroom for me to arrive. So I think this is where I will really want to make use of retrieval, but also potentially make use of my drive to differentiate within lessons, to have some collaboration, so maybe I can have a feature of these resources, but for now my main focus is developing them for retrieval. Okay, so I can immediately see here that me being able to plan my lessons when the year starts is going to be a bit tricky. I'm going to be tired, my well-being will be affected. There's going to be time constraints in accessing workspaces and printers, so that's definitely something I want to get a head start over the summer. Okay, so another thing that is a theme here is the behaviour for learning, and it's something that I was quite happy with, that I had sort of brainstormed some of those strategies at the start of the year, but an area that I really do want to work on is just sort of further developing that. So I want to have some time to think about it and then to plan for effective behaviour for learning strategies. So I'm going to be focusing on planning for particular resources that will support me with addressing behaviour for learning, and then also thinking about what are the specific roles and routines that I will want to have with my students. Okay, so something else that I'm spotting here is the focus of my dissertation for my masters. So that's really going to just need me to brainstorm some particular action points during the summer. Obviously, I can see that student mental well-being is going to be a priority, but I'm hoping that with careful planning and careful organisation, that is going to be something that is intricately addressed. But there might be some room for me to think about maybe my display boards in my classroom, maybe the resources that I use and how I'm going to collate all of my PowerPoints, that it's positive and it's friendly. So maybe I can include something like that. Okay, so I've written as much as I can from what my reflection has been. I'm just going to review some of these action points with you guys and fill in anything else that pops to mind. So in terms of organisation, I really want to make sure that my midterm plans are organised. I know exactly what I'm teaching. I'm including specific tasks for homework, pre-learning tasks, and I'm also going to start thinking about using particular quizzes, online assessment tools, so just bringing all of that together so that it's easily accessible. Then I'm going to think about how I'm going to develop metacognition in my lessons with A-level. So there might be particular resources that I need to organise and put together, but it's just more of a timeline, and I can make a video on this a little bit later. Then I want to make sure that I've included retrieval in those midterm plans, and I've thought carefully about where I'm going to place them. And finally, I want to just make sure that my classroom and my workspaces will all be organised and looking fresh and clean and ready to welcome students back into school. In terms of the planning, it's really clear that I want to develop my resources, in particular those for memory. So looking at developing quizzes that can support students when they are waiting for me, in particular at the start of the lesson, or if I need to use them for homework. I'm also then going to be making sure that I'm planning ahead of some of my lessons. I will probably already know what I'm teaching because of my midterm plan. So if I can get a head start, make sure that all of those resources are ready and do a bulk printing session, then I don't need to worry about the limitations in doing that when I start in September. And finally, I'm going to need to plan for an effective behaviour for learning strategy. So I'm going to need to do a little bit of research and plan for perhaps some resources, some roles and particular routines I want to instill in my classes. In terms of my master's prep, I want to make sure that I know exactly what I'm going to be doing for my project. I've got the resources developed, I've got documents ready for me to write my literature review draft, and I've thought ahead of who I'm going to email and when I'm going to schedule any relevant meetings so that I can block those in my diary. So in terms of leadership, it seems that there are no particular tasks here for me to get involved with, but I know that I will want to email my team. So as you can see, this is now what I need to get done with over the summer. I think some of this will take a little bit longer than other things. I think the priority will be to get started on the organisation first, and then once I've got everything organised I can start to plan and develop these resources that I've outlined here. So maybe over the summer what I'll do is I'll make some videos talking about these particular strategies so that I can go into more depth about them and share any particular things that you might also find useful. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I really do hope that you found it useful and that you took something from it. Please leave me comments down below just sharing any advice or any other things that you want to share with our community, and I wish you all of the best, and I will see you really soon in some more future videos. Take care, bye!